Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sphera live event. I am here with Maria Suma of Clean Coalition Baltic, and we're going to talk a little bit, or a lot of it, about plastic in the seas. So first of all, Maria, could you please introduce yourself and tell me what do you do and how exactly you are relating to plastic as an issue?
Yes, my name is Maria and I'm from Belarus. I'm working in the environmental organization. It's called Center for Environmental Solution, and we are a part of one of the member of CCB. And personally, I work with the problem of plastic pollution in Belarus. Like in the most countries, the main problems is single-use plastic. That's why I will speak about single-use plastic more. And also, also its problem is microplastic and microfibers. And I'm also in this topic and try to not only make some campaigns in our country, but also make some research to understand how we are in this topic. Is it how many microparticles in our water and others? That's why, and also we are working with youth, and I think it will be interesting to share our experience in working with the youth in our country also.
Wonderful, great. It's interesting, I find that right off the bat, at the beginning, you mentioned single-use plastics, because that's something I've heard people talking about a lot since the beginning of the pandemic, especially with masks and gloves, and I guess a lot of testing kits involve single-use plastics because you don't want to reuse them. So can you tell me a little bit about how that's been because I'm assuming you did this work before the pandemic?
Yes,
well?
but yes, single-use masks and gloves and other things is the main maybe difficult. The main difficult now, because it's very difficult to say people not to use mask because it's things that protect them from the virus. And another very difficult point is single-use tableware, because now people, I don't know why they decide that if it's single use, it's more safe. For example, when we speak about tableware, but there are a lot of research and World Health Organization also, they said that if you will clean your cups by yourself, and if even using washing machine, and it's possible to make your cups clean and without any virus and others. But we don't know about these single-use cups that we buy in the cafe. Is it clean or not? I think I speak about virus, not about other bacteria. But it's for me, for example, you can protect by yourself your health when you will clean your cups by yourself. Not but it's difficult. For example, when we speak about mask, certainly you can use you can use your own mask from the fibers and to iron them and to clean them, and it also can help you, but it's not so easy to buy single-use mask, use it and throw away, but you need it clean, iron and other things. That's why certainly it's much more easier, but now we have no opportunity to reuse or recycle single-use mask now. That's why it's a great problem, and it's a great amount of these kind of litters in environment and in seas and oceans also. Yes.
Yeah, which I completely understand, because I feel like I've seen a lot more masks in the street I mean,
Yes.
it's kind of overtaken the visuals that I see of plastic in nature, in the ocean. I'm sure there's so many. And we recently did a poll on the Sphera Instagram to ask people, have you seen more plastic waste that is very literally related to the pandemic? And 93% of people said yes. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's a global phenomenon at this point.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, speaking of global phenomenon, if you could tell me a little bit about what the situation is like for plastic in Belarus, just before we dive into the seas.
Ah,
What is
okay.
what is the general situation and your work specifically in Belarus? Because I'm very interested to hear about that.
Yes, when we speak about plastic problem, we have two different directions, and we work in two different directions is recycling and prevention, or reusing and reducing. When we speak about recycling, is not so bad as, for example, in our neighbors like Russia and Ukraine. We have quite a big percent of recycling, also plastic. But when we speak about reducing, it's a quite problem. We have practically no any programs for governmental programs, I say, or reducing. Mostly initiatives, it's some private, or it's made by simple citizens of the cities who try to use your own cups, try to use your own bags. And also there are a lot of examples of a cafe or supermarket who provide textile bags, or provide
biodegradable as well.
Yes, biodegradable is quite a problem. It's also a problem, for example, for ocean, also because there are a lot of greenwashing biodegradable packaging. For example, they made from the ordinary plastic, but under the sea and influence of the sea and sea water and sun, they are divided in the little particles, microplastic, and they can get to the ocean easier. And it's a problem because a lot of marine animals think that it's food and get it inside, and it goes to through the food chain, and it ends in our bodies also. But also we have real biodegradable bags and other items that make from, for example, from the corn, but they need to corn, yes.
Oh,
corn.
Cool. I didn't know that. That's really nice.
And potatoes, and also from the organic waste and other things. But they are very good. They are compostable, but we have to make some special environment for composting. It's special temperature, it's special bacteria. But in Belarus we have no compostable fabric, or that's why it's a great problem for us also, because these compostable items appear, but we have no opportunity to compost it. So it's a great problem for Belarus also. And we have a lot of initiatives for reducing. It's a lot of cafes who provide you drinks in your own cups, and who get you even some sale for the coffee if you buy
a discount.
Discount. So it's quite interesting, but it's a few initiatives. We need much more. We need some law regulation, and we had it in previous year. We have several items was banned in Belarus. Plastic items. It was
single-use plastic items.
Yes, single-use. It was it was cups, but in a year the government understands that it's difficult for them to provide alternatives, and they are returned to the previous situation. Now we again use plastic things in cafe. But as I understand, many companies, big companies, for example, McDonald's, they not return to the beginning. They continue use more or less eco-friendly alternatives. I couldn't say that they are real eco-friendly because it's plastic and paper, it's combined materials. But for example, they don't use plastic spoons and knives. They don't use plastic straws. That something, but we need to work more harder and to make awareness to what is real eco-friendly alternatives, what is greenwashing. We need to explain it more understandable.
And it sounds like it might be a bit more of a public education issue where we can have small groups of individuals who know the dangers of plastic, who know the impact. But if there's no structure in place to make sure that everyone knows, then it's very difficult to have collective change and action.
In this way, I think that youth is the most maybe more critical audience because they have access to the information. They can check everything. They can compare different results, and I think it's a very modern topic now, environmental, and that's why they try to be on the board of this topic. It's quite difficult to speak with the elder people because they say, "Oh, we can change nothing. We live in such a situation and we'll do it." But I think that we have a great potential of our youth audience because they are more interest, more on the board, I think, in this environment.
They're active.
Yeah, they're active. They and they we can think about Greta, who are wake a lot of youth around the world about topic of climate changes. And I think plastic the same situation, and a lot of people understand, but we need more influence on the campaigns, companies who produce this single-use plastic. Because yes, we can buy coffee in our own cup, but much more single-use plastic. It's packaging, it bags, and other things. And only working with the companies can help us to change this situation and to raise this topic on more serious level.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I've heard and read a lot of things about how it's very nice that we want to engage ourselves as individuals, and we should. It's very important that we do. But if big companies don't have to change anything because, I'm not buying and you're not buying, but 500,000 people are buying, then there need to be rules. It needs to be fair. So that everyone is working together, basically. Now, to get on to the meat of the topic, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about. I've heard that you might know something about the journey of plastic. So, talking about plastic from rivers to seas, the kind of journey that happens, and exactly what happens.
It's very funny that I speak about plastic in the sea because I'm from Belarus and we have no access to the sea at all. We have only some lakes. It's called Minsk Sea, but it's lake.
But it's a lake.
Yes, it's lake, and we are joking that it's only our access to the sea. But we have a campaign that it's called Baltic starts here. It's called that we have a lot of rivers. Belarus is a very blue country because we have a lot of rivers and a lot of lakes. And some of our rivers flow into the Baltic Sea. And water have no bodies. We couldn't make some body on the between the countries for example for water, and all the trash that goes in our rivers, and not only plastic but also pharmaceuticals and different organic waste, they also be in the Baltic Sea.
And fertilizers as well, I assume. Any kind of chemical can go
Yes,
straight into the river.
yes, we couldn't, and we also, it's even very difficult to clean water from the pharmaceuticals and microplastics. That's why even we put some clean system on the body. It's difficult to clean all the water. So that's why we speak that we also we also have attitude to the Baltic Sea waste. Because because a lot of waste on the beach of our rivers, and we couldn't, and if we will not clean up, or if we will not be attentive to our behavior, we also can cause this great plastic pollution in the Baltic Sea and in the ocean also. That's why when we speak with the children, when we speak with the adult people, we see that Baltic is here also, because for example, salmon, they migrate from the Baltic Sea in our rivers, and that's why it's very important place for salmon, because it's a place where it's born, and they also returned for the migration here. That's why not only salmon but also waste goes from our country to the Baltic Sea. That's why that's why we are part of CCB coalition, as many other countries who get access to the Baltics, like Lithuania, Poland, Denmark, Sweden, and others, and also Belarus, but because we have rivers that flow in the Baltic Sea. That's why we speak that, yes, we also a part of the Baltic region. And
it makes sense if everything is connected, and ultimately, you know, it's a butterfly effect. Something that happens in Belarus will actually make its way all the way to the sea, and therefore it's very important to deal with it. But do you think there are, I'm wondering now, just off the top of my head, do you think there are very many limitations to trying to work regionally? Because, I mean, the sea is connected to everything else. You know, is it possible to do effective work in a small region? Is it easier because maybe you can unite local governments? Or is it just that, you know, all the water is connected and therefore it's a very, very difficult task? I know it's a leading question, but tell me what you think.
It's from one side, it's very difficult because we have another law than EU country. We are not in EU's. That way, we have no plastic strategies that are implemented, for example, in EU country. But from the other side, a lot of our legislation is made on base of the EU legislation. That's why if, for example, this plastic ban in the cafe is also, I think it's works because of in the other EU country it was. But environmental problem is always very difficult to see this effect. It looks like you need to do more and more to be on the same place, because because it's difficult to because situation changed so quickly that it's very difficult to get to jump over your head, and we try to save that we have now, to save ecosystems, to save the clean water, to save the biodiversity in the oceans and in the seas and in the forest and others. So I think it's quite difficult problem for us to see changes, but we see these changes not in the very often not in the environment, but in the people who change their habits, who thanks us for what we are doing, who make new initiatives, who create new restaurants and cafes without plastic, for example, or who produce charity shops when we can reuse textile, because textiles is also one of the cause of plastic pollution because of
Yeah, there's a
microfiber.
lot of plastics in all our cloth now.
Yes, that's why it's also a question for me how is I'm successful in what I'm doing. But when I look back, I see that there is no. Now there are much more people who say yes, plastic pollution exists. It's a problem, and I think that's a first step at least.
Yeah, at least the first step is always awareness of the problem, and then hopefully a big push towards a solution. But I also understand that it must be a little bit frustrating sometimes just to see the speed of it, because there are people, who are open to discussing these things and learning and changing the way they think. But then, is it happening fast enough is always the question, especially when you're talking about saving what we have.
Yes,
It's quite intense. But you've mentioned a few times now the youth and young people and how engaged they are and how they seem to really, really care, which of course, they should, because they have to live the longest period of time with the consequences. How can the youth get involved? How can the youth help? I think that CCB and also your organization is trying to get more involved with the youth. How can they do that?
Yes, I will say it two main directions. First of all, you can join some global movement like Coalition Green Baltic Youth, and I will send you some emails if somebody of some youth who are listeners now.
Absolutely, yeah. I can post it on social media.
And also it's break free from plastic movement, great movement on the it's global movement, and it's European part. They are very close work with companies and with providing some curriculum alternatives, and also it's a lot of global movement. On their website you can find some research materials. You can involve in different campaigns, global campaigns, for example, Plastic Free July, or some campaigns with microbeans and others. Another direction, if you want to work locally, you can create your own initiatives. For example, this initiatives can work in your university, in your school, or maybe in your yard, or maybe in your community, or maybe only in your flat or house. For example, firstly you have to start from yourself and make changes in your house. Then you can go wider.
Yeah.
So, for example, let me give you an example from Belarus. We have such initiatives of representatives of different universities. It's called Green University. I know such initiatives is in German also. It's what they want. They see some problems in their university. For example, they have no separate collection of waste in their university, and they try to solve this problem. Then they understand that they want to change situation with single-use items in the canteen in their university, and they try to change it. Then they invite different experts to make lectures about plastic, about hazard substances in the plastic, and so on and so forth. And very important that they connect with each other. They try to they share all the experience, they share with problems that they have, and it's helps to understand that you're not alone. It's very important when you are
solidarity. between
solidarity.
people.
It's very important when you're activist, especially because very often you think that it's only I see this problem, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm alone, but it's very important to make a chain. Maybe it's difficult, for example, in the pandemic situation, to meet each other offline, but you can make some online lectures, you can make some discussion and such things that we are doing now, for example, some interviewers and others. It's very important. These guys change a lot in their university, and they had a support from their department and the directors of the university, and they were successful. But the most the example that I like the most is initiative My Cup Please. It's initiatives that were launched by our but by students also, but they are started at our program EcoStart. It's called EcoStart. Yes, EcoStart. It's look like some in Russian, and a lot of people, some people try to make to gather a lot of cafes and ask them to give to help people to drink coffee in their own cup. And these initiatives became not only in Belarus, and in 2 years it became international, and now it's worked in Russia, in Ukraine and Kazakhstan. And it's very simple idea, but very often you need to make this structure, to write letters to the cafe, to explain why we need to do it, what they will get from it, because it's not money, it's only reputation. That's why it's a great work. And when it works in different countries, and when they collaborate and speak with each other, and to share the experience, not only in Belarus, but in different countries, it also helps you to go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good response, I guess, to what we talked about earlier, about how it can be difficult, to try doing things locally in one region, knowing that everything spreads. Not just the plastic can spread, but also the ideas and the organizing and the outreach. And I think that's always something that I really like in the sphere of activism, is talking with people who have similar experiences, but very contextually different, because they live in a different country with different laws, with different attitudes. And I think that's always something that can bring us closer together, especially because it's such a universal problem, right? We're all going to suffer from plastic. There's no way to escape it. So these are, you've told us about some success stories, some positive results. Do you have any advice for young people who might be wanting to join the fight against plastic? I mean, is there anything that you see, for example, a big story about plastic? I know we talk about straws a lot, but is there anything that people don't really know about that's also helpful? Because I see a lot of the same things on social media.
Yes, it's straw. For example, for me, it's also a question why we use straw at all.
Well, I think for some people it might be just for reasons that they need it, for health reasons. But other than that, I mean, it's not that fun for me to drink from a straw, so I don't need it.
That's why it's a question. If we need to change plastic to the paper, or we need to change plastic to the nothing.
Very good point.
Yes, and some special things, I think it's material, because very often we try to change plastic for something else. For example, biodegradable, for the plastic and paper combined materials, but very often it's can cause another problem, because we use not only when we change material, we change the problems. For example, when we use plastic, we have one kind of problem. If we change it to the paper, it will be another problem. For example, paper production is very toxic production. It used a lot of hazard. It used a lot of not real reusable resources, and it's and when we compare plastic and paper bags, for example, it's not more eco-friendly paper, but paper is not more eco-friendly. But my great point is to always check information. For example, if we have a label that it's reusable or it's recyclable or it's eco-friendly things, always check it, because greenwashing, and especially in the nowadays, in the time when eco topic is very popular and companies try to adopt it to their plan, it's very often we can see these green leaves or green plants or something others, greens or green letters, big green letters that say it's eco and others. But we also need to check information before we say or we use something. Another thing is to be brave, because for example, if you live in small village or you live in small town and nobody support you, try to find this support maybe online or maybe somewhere in another cities or in other countries, because you need to understand that you're not alone. So and another also another point is that you're real not alone. Because people who are on your side is a lot of organization, a lot of people who think the same as you. And even if you're alone, you can change a lot also, because let's imagine that you are alone in some city or some village who get your own bags. Other people will look on you and ask, what are you doing? And when you explain, they also understand that yes, it's something that works. So I think that don't stop when even if you believe in it, you don't stop, please, and check information, not to provide some false solution also. And also you can ask. If you don't know, you can ask an expert, you can ask in the internet, and you can ask in the producer, what do you mean when you say something? Because they have to feel this public pressure also.
Absolutely.
Because only under this pressure they can change something, and something change a lot. Because if we say, because very often producers said that, oh, it's consumer, they want this plastic, that's why we produce it. No. No, it's not works in this way. It's that that it need to be some dialogue between us, and also between environmental activists, environmental NGO, and also. And certainly is another point, if you feel that you couldn't do something at all, you can support people who can do it. For example, you can support environmental NGO, you can support environmental activists, you can spread information in your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and others. Please, if you couldn't do something, you have your own field where you can spread this information, because everybody of us is media now. Yes.
I think that's a really, really good point. And to me, all of the things that you've said really indicate that there is, I mean, first of all, it makes sense that young people are the most active and informed because they're all over social media, which is where
Yeah.
you can share this information more easily. And I also really liked what you said about explaining to other people what you're doing. And I think that's where you can bridge the link between people who aren't connected on social media, watching 1,000 tips, green tips per
Yeah.
day.
Yes.
It's by actually having conversations with other people. And every time you pass through, the passage to being more eco-friendly, you can take people with you. There's no problem there. You just have to talk to people.
Yeah.
I think that's really great. Thank you for sharing all this
Yes.
advice and these tips. My last question, because we're running a little bit out of time, would be what are future plans for CCB? What's coming up? I think you have a lot going on with youth coming up, getting young people engaged. Are there
Yeah.
events? Are there partner opportunities? What's the story?
Yes, CCB a lot of work with legislation. For example, one of the main topic is ban microplastic in consumer care products, because yes, we can work with awareness, but we also need to work with the legislation, with the law, and how to make this law field, how it can be do, because we need to expert and scientific evidence that this microplastic is dangerous for health. That's why we need to, for the health or for the environment, and we need to ban it. For example, and also CCB provide reduction target to the 50% to the 2025. And a great problem which CCB is working with is hazard in the plastic, because we couldn't reduce all plastic because it's part of our life, but we have to reduce some hazard things in the plastic to make it more safe for us
So
or
you
for
can change plastic to be less
yes.
harmful. Okay.
Yes. To for us, especially, it's important for the toys, or for the toys, or for the some products that are that we use, for example, hydrogen products for women, because there are a lot of hazard substances in the tampons, in the pads, and other things. That's why it's influence on the female health also. That's why it's a very important problem. And also work with the pharmaceuticals in the water, because it's really great problems raised of the different pharmaceuticals can influence on the marine animals and for the people health through the tap water also. And also CCB work with the circular economy alternatives for the plastic items, and it's quite great problem, as not problem but a great topic nowadays. And for example, in the way that EU working in this direction, and how to this combine. And also for Belarus, it's very interesting because we have some legislation in green economy, but it's have a lot of question. So when we speak about plastic, it's mostly work with legislation, work with the some specific plastic, and work with the production also. It's what we are. And I think a lot of it's a great place for youth, for example, for youth who are working with the engineering, or may have some ideas how to provide some, for example, some green ideas or green alternatives. It can be worked for them also.
Which I think makes so much sense because you will incentivize people to change
Mm,
more, companies as well, especially if you provide
yeah,
them already with the solution. You say switch to this. It's cheaper, it's better for the environment. Your corporate image is going to be better,
yeah,
and then
yes.
hopefully, I mean, the decision is made like that. So fingers crossed.
Yes, I hope, but very often they changes are somewhere far from the nowadays. That's why a
Yeah.
lot of companies don't want to make changes now and try to do business as usual.
Yeah, I see. Maybe they don't see the stakes as being high enough, which I think is where collective action comes in.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on to tonight and speaking to me about this topic. I've learned a lot of information, and I'm sure everyone watching has as well. This has been very, very, very interesting. So thank you for your time, and I look
Thank
forward to seeing all the future activities that come out of your work.
Thank you for the time and for the opportunities to speak about this with you and with your audience also.
Great. Well, everyone have a good night and speak soon, hopefully.